he ended up getting into medical school at Loma Linda, and back then Loma Linda would only allow two blacks per class. So basically, I just dropped out.
Oh, so you didn't go to a bigger school or Oakwood, you just stopped?
Yeah, I just came home and I worked as a delivery person, medicine. So when I told him, I was like, Dr. Mill, I want to go into medicine. He said, you can't do it, you're not smart enough.
Okay, thank you for being here, Vincent, my brother from another mother. So why don't you, I mean, I know you well, so why don't you let the listeners know a little bit about you before we get into it?
Sure. My name is Vincent Rowe, and I was born here in Los Angeles, born and raised, and still reside here and still happy to reside here. And my education transitioned mostly through Adventist schools, but also into non-Adventist training as well, especially in college and medical school. And so here to talk about the journey and whatever other obstacles that may have come along the way.
Mhm. Great. Yeah, so why don't we start there? I mean, the reason I asked you, and for my listeners and viewers, is because I was there for a lot of it, and we were all together, a bunch of us friends, your wife and I, and some other friends, and we were reliving some of our old days. And I was just like, oh, yeah, you have a great story. That's why I said, please let me interview you. So why don't you start with, I mean, so you're a physician, right?
Yes. Yes.
And a surgeon, right? A vascular surgeon, right?
Yeah, I'm a surgeon, and my specialty is the arteries and the veins, not the heart, but all the other arteries, abdomen, chest, neck, arm, leg, um, and I deal with any of the arteries that get enlarged, that get blocked, that get infected. That's kind of my job. It's like we try to say in a simple term, we don't deal with the pump, but we deal with the pipes.
Okay. Oh, okay. I never heard that.
Anything that, yeah, anything that has a damaged pipe, we deal with it.
Okay.
And then more common things that people think we do are, varicose veins. But yeah, that could be a specialty that you decide to do, but it's kind of the least invasive and the least risky.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Okay. So let's start. So your dad was a physician, correct? You grew up with your dad being a doctor, right?
Yes, yeah, he was a immigrant from Cuba, and worked his way through medical school. Actually, worked at the Kellogg plant
Oh, wow.
in yeah, in Bering Springs.
Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah, while he was getting his education and and working on learning the language because he didn't know the language either. And
Oh, okay.
him and my mom met and were married, and then he ended up getting into medical school at Loma Linda, and back then Loma Linda would only allow two blacks per class. That was the
Oh,
quota
wow.
for nursing school, medical school, and all those. And so he was fortunate enough to be one of them. What I did find out was that he was actually older than he said he was, or that we thought he was,
Oh,
all while he was alive. I didn't find out his actual age until after he died and
well,
looked through some of his documents. But from my understanding, a lot of immigrants changed their birth date so that they would have a better opportunity of getting into school or getting employment. And yeah, he had changed his birth date and was actually 5 years older than what we thought he was.
Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't know that. That's so interesting. Wow. The things you learn, huh? Later.
Yeah, even after
Yeah.
people pass away.
Way. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so you saw, so you knew your dad took that path. So was that, were you thinking about being a doctor when you were in school and you were in even like grade school, high school?
No, absolutely not. I didn't want that path. Uh, um, there was him and my mother didn't have the best relationship, so maybe that was part of my not wanting to follow his path.
Mm,
And even after they had divorced, him and I didn't have the greatest relationship, so I can't say that I was the kid that followed him into clinic and
mm,
followed him on rounds and all these things because we didn't really have a very good relationship for a long period of time.
okay.
So I'm not sure if that was my initial block, but either way, by the time I was entering college, I had already decided that I was not going to pursue that pathway.
Mm. And what were you gonna pursue? What was your decision?
It was
You know.
wasn't sure, but then I thought about engineering because I was pretty good at math.
Oh, okay. That's right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you pursued that course or what happened?
Well, I started out, I'm not sure your audience, they're mostly just everybody or Adventist.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I started out, I went to an Adventist academy at Glendale Academy. That was where I graduated. And then I went to La Sierra. And it was weird because I just was kind of lost. I didn't I didn't really study for anything. I didn't um, I didn't apply to any big schools. And Glendale just said, you all should just go to La Sierra, and you don't have to worry about the SAT or the ACT.
Oh,
So I didn't take the ACT and the SAT. I didn't study. I didn't take it with any intention of knowing. In fact, I didn't even really know my score. And they were having all these parent teacher things where the kids would come in and they would study for the PSAT, then they would take the SAT, and the parents were there. I never told my mom about it, so she didn't even know. She didn't ask, and I didn't tell her.
wow.
So I think we went to play miniature golf the night before the SAT, and
Oh,
and that was it. I
oh,
took the
wow.
test. Yeah.
But did they say you didn't need any of those tests to get into La Sierra?
That was what I kind of remember, or maybe that's what I wanted to hear, because I
Yeah.
just I just didn't see the need to do anything like that.
Yeah. But you got in.
So yeah, I got in and I stayed a year, and then I left there and wanted to go I went to Oakwood College because I wanted to attend there, and then when I got to Oakwood, I felt like I really wanted to do engineering, but I just wasn't I had just had in my mind that I wanted to go to a big school. Yeah,
Bigger than
and
Oakwood.
yeah, one of those big universities, and I wanted that experience.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
so it was a combination of things. I left Oakwood, and I pretty much dropped out. And I
How
said,
long were you at Oakwood?
I was at Oakwood for 1 year. I was at La Sierra for 1 year, and then I thought about not continuing, and then I also thought about if I did continue, I wanted to go to a bigger school. So
Okay.
basically, I just dropped out.
Oh. So you didn't go to a bigger school or Oakwood, you just stopped
Yeah,
going.
I just came home and I worked as a delivery person, and yeah, just kind of did that for a little while.
Oh, and what were your parents saying during that time?
Well, it was mainly my mom. My dad was, living his life. Oh yeah, she was freaked out. Yeah, she wanted me to go to
Did
Walla Walla
something.
and
Oh,
and go back to school, and I just didn't want to deal with it.
oh, okay. So how long did that last? That path, that
That was
your life.
Yeah, that was about I'd say total it was a year, but it was definitely for 6 months. And so then I said I would apply to school. And what I did was I looked at a map, and I wanted to be close to where my girlfriend was. So I said, okay, UC Berkeley looks close. And so I'll apply to that one.
Okay. As what, just to get in school? You didn't have a
Yeah,
major?
just to get back into school. And I said, okay, we'll be kind of close. I think she was at school in it's more central Modesto.
Okay, okay.
So
So
yeah,
going
I
in
figured I
town. Yeah.
figured that would be okay. And so I was kind of surprised because I got in there, and then when I applied for there, I had to know my SAT scores, and I didn't know them. And I had to call back to Glendale Academy and say, "Hey, what did I get on the SAT? Because they're asking for this." And they go, "Oh, yeah, we'll send you your scores," because I never knew for those 2 years prior. And,
Wow.
and yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Yeah. But they were apparently good enough to get you in Berkeley, right?
Yeah, but they weren't that good.
Oh,
They
okay.
were, they wouldn't have gotten me anywhere now. Yeah, they weren't that good. I
Okay.
was surprised looking back, because I didn't study, I didn't do any of the vocabulary. So yeah, they were under 1,000.
Okay. Okay. So then you so you got in Berkeley and what'd you do there? How long were you there? Did you have to declare a major at some point while you were there?
So yeah, I got into Berkeley, and by the time I got up there, the girlfriend that I had gone to be close to had gone off with someone else.
Oh.
So by then, I said, okay, I got in. Let me just try to figure this out. And
Hmm.
at first, I was undecided, and then I decided to try to get into the engineering school.
Okay. All right.
And Berkeley was very different. It was if one school, Oakwood, was here, Berkeley was here, maybe times 10. It
Uh,
was very, very different.
you mean in the workload or just the life or both?
Everything,
Every
everything was,
kind of a culture shock?
yeah, one, it seemed like every kid was really bright,
Mm.
so the competition was harder. Um, There was a lot more going on.
Mm.
I never really paid attention to politics. Politics were front and center
Yes, at
there.
Berkeley.
They were protesting, they were burning flags. I had
Yeah.
never seen that.
Yeah.
Um, and the first time I saw them burn a flag, I ran away. I thought I was going to get arrested. And then
Oh.
I called my dad and I said, "Hey, what's this with the burning flags?" And he said, "Well, it's legal."
Uh,
So then I watched them, and I never understood why someone, if you were that dissatisfied with the country, why not just leave?
yeah.
But they were showing it by burning flags, protests, and it was a lot. There were people there that I took a class from the main person that believed that blacks were inferior in intellect,
Wow.
um, and he wrote a lot about that. I took a sociology class from the guy that was the instrument behind the people in the 1968 Olympics raising their
Oh,
fist.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, a guy, Harry Edwards. I took a
Uh-huh.
class from him. And so I was seeing things that I had never
Right.
encountered before. It was very, very different.
Wow. Wow. Did you like it or not really? Or
Uh,
just trying to
I didn't
adjust?
know.
Yeah.
I was just kind of shocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just in shock.
Yeah. Okay. So how long were you there at Berkeley?
I was there until I graduated.
Oh, so you
I,
did graduate from there.
yeah, that was where I graduated from. Every time I would come home, my mom would tell me to stay, but I said, no, I'm there. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to
Okay.
finish it.
Okay. So this time you were determined to just
Oh,
finish.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
determined.
Okay. And you graduated as an engineering student? I don't know the
No,
an
so
engineering.
after the first year, my grades were terrible. I think I had below a 2.0 GPA
Oh, wow.
in
Okay.
my first semester
Yeah.
because I wasn't up to speed. And I said, oh boy, I got to get on it. And I studied like I never studied before.
Wow.
And then my grades started going up, but I still wasn't able to get into the engineering school. So then I had to figure out, well, I have all these math and physics classes and what, and so I remember looking at the book of majors and saying, oh, so where can I transfer all these classes, these engineering classes, and have them count towards getting
Amazing.
a degree
Yeah.
so that I don't have to stay here too long? Because you can't stay too long, they kick you out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they don't let you just keep taking classes until
Exactly.
you're 50. They kick you out.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. From
So I had to I was just looking through and then I found the major called biophysics
Hmm.
and I said, okay, that will be my major. And I've never heard of it and I didn't know anything about it, but I kind of just I said I could do it
That's
because
it.
of my classes and let's go.
So you graduated with a biophysics, what, a bachelor's in biophysics?
Bachelor's of Arts in biophysics.
Oh, oh, of arts. Okay.
Yeah, they didn't give I engineering would get Bachelor of Science.
Oh,
Anything else in letters in the College of Letters and Science was
yeah.
Bachelor of Arts.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I got Bachelor of Arts and and it was that I'd say it was that last 2 years where a lot of things just continued to happen and change in my life. And yeah, that was an interesting a lot of things just changed for me during that time. Yeah, it was a lot.
It was, so you were there for 2 years or three?
I was there total 3.5.
3.5. Okay.
I went in after yeah I was there 3.5
Okay.
for
Okay.
until I graduated.
Okay.
And yeah, it was hard. I remember just the one when I had my first biophysics class because now I'm in my major
Right.
and I took the first test and I was the only black guy in the class. I think there had been two other guys that had graduated with biophysics major that were black in the whole university, in the history
Okay.
of the university. And so, I wasn't gonna be the one that didn't make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the first test I took, I got a really low grade. And I went to the teacher assistant, the TA,
Yeah.
afterwards, and I said, hey, can you tell me did I get the lowest? And he said, yeah, you did.
Oh,
And
wow.
I said, okay, I'll never let that happen again.
Mm.
I'll never let that happen again. And I went to every um the professors have teaching hours,
Uh-huh.
the
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
I went to
All the
everyone.
vendors. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to everyone for every class.
Mhm.
I just kind of sat, I was the guy that was just standing in there saying, oh, you have a question, go ahead. And I would still wait.
Because you weren't leaving,
I
right?
wasn't leaving. I was getting everything I could.
Yeah.
because maybe I didn't know how to do that other one that they were asking about.
Right. Well,
But I would
exactly.
stay,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I would stay the whole time, and I would, I would, I kind of got into that mindset. I had one professor, he wore the same thing every day, the same thing, and he was teaching quantum physics.
Oh, whoa.
The doctor, can't remember his name. Uh, oh, it'll come to me because I always remembered him.
Oh,
And I would go to his office hours every time. And and so I said, "Hey, Dr. So it was just him and I that time. I said, you wear the same thing every time. Why is that? And he goes, in the morning you get up and you spend about 15 minutes figuring out what you're going to wear. I spend those 15 minutes thinking about physics.
whoa.
And I
Wow.
got it.
Got it. Wow.
I
That,
went to I bought a jean jacket
yeah.
and I went to the army surplus and bought a pair of khaki pants. And that was what I wore every day.
Oh
And if
my,
it was cold, I put a sweatshirt underneath. If it was warmer, and I wore the same thing every day. And I said, I'm going to take this approach.
yeah. Yeah. So you spent more time with physics, with,
Yeah, with biophysics and everything. And
yeah.
yeah, I was putting everything I could into graduating.
Wow. Wow. And you graduated, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I did. And it was during that time, um, about the last year and a half that I started to think about going into medicine because I didn't know what I was going to do. UC Berkeley had an optometry school, and I looked into going into optometry. I met the people, and then it kind of just, I said, no, I don't want to do this. Um, and yeah, I really thought about going into medicine around that time.
Okay.
And I made a pact with my mom that I would take the MCAT
Oh,
and see
be-
how I did.
okay.
But,
Before you
but I
graduated?
still, this was all during that last 2 to 3 years, 2 years. I
Okay.
get up there, I'm kind of goofing off a bit. I got bad grades, and then I started to really buckle in like the last 2 years.
Okay. Okay. And you,
So,
okay.
so and then I started to think about medicine, and that was when, I started to move that way, and I took the MCAT, but then that was the part that I had told you guys about that I still had a really intense fear of blood.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And look at now you're a vascular surgeon.
yeah. Funny how things
Yeah,
work.
exactly. Wow. Okay. So you took the MCAT and you did
Yeah, and I did
that?
pretty well. I did
Yeah.
pretty well,
Okay.
and I studied for it, and because by now I was
All right.
focused on everything. Didn't
Study. Yeah.
and then I had to overcome the blood thing.
Right. 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 How did you do
And so I got a job as a volunteer at the county hospital there in Oakland.
that?
And
Okay.
um, I had kind of tried to straighten up because I think one of your questions talks about leaving God. And I don't know, we can talk about that later, but I got a job at a Highland Hospital in Oakland. And then I went out and I would go to the emergency room and just take blood. And I got the job. I made sure my shift was Friday night so that I would make sure I was, at least doing something constructive. And yeah, my first shift, I saw somebody all stabbed up and
Oh, wow.
bleeding, and they called me in. They said, "Yeah, get in here, volunteer, take this blood." And I went out and took the blood and to the lab, and then I went outside and I said, "Whoa, I don't know now. This is," because I started to get really queasy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I said, "I don't know what I'm going to do here."
Yeah.
So,
Because that was your first shift, huh?
yeah, that was my first shift. I don't know. I thought I could do medicine, but this is blocking me. Um, I just I didn't know what I was going to do. And so then I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, if this is for, if you want me to go into medicine, um, and I said it out loud, I said, if you want me to go into medicine, take this away from me and let me know when I go back in. If it's gone, then I know you want me to go into medicine and I'll push towards that. If it's still there, then I'll know I have to do something else.
Wow.
And yeah, and it went away.
Wow. Amen. That's amazing. Yeah.
So
I
that's how I knew
yeah.
because my advisor was a really mean person, Dr. Mel, and he didn't think I could go into medicine. So when I told him, I was like, Dr. Mel, I want to go into medicine. He said, you can't do it. You're not smart enough.
Oh. Oh,
And
that was helpful, right? Yeah.
I said, no, I can do it, Dr. Mel. I can do it. And he said, no, you can't. I was like, well, I really think I can. He goes, look, if you think you can do it and you still want to do it, I'm not going to sign your classes.
Wow. Yeah.
So I just said, okay, fine. I'm not going to do it. And then he would sign my classes. And I went through that for about a year. And I would go to him and he would say, you're not going to medicine, are you? And I said, no, I'm not, sir. And he'd say, okay.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah.
But you were still determined to go.
Oh, I was determined. I had had that epiphany or that miracle. I had
Right.
God talk to me, and I knew there was nothing that was going to block me, not Dr. Mel or anything. So,
Wow.
yeah, I was everything had kind of come right together for me at that point.
Whoa. Okay. Okay. So then you graduated and then
Yeah,
okay.
and I got into medical school at Howard and USC.
Yes.
After I chose to go to USC, and yeah, that was how it all worked out.
Rest is history. Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
I remember when you got in those two schools and we were so happy because I told you, me and another one of our good friends, Lily, and we were both saying, we're gonna pray that Vincent gets to stay in California because we don't want him to go to the East Coast.
Uh,
Yeah.
and
So
that interview was it was really strange because I had to interview in the doctor's office that was out in La Cañada. And that day, my mom had a nursery school, and she said, "Okay, the interview's out there. You need to." She would take some kids to school. She goes, "You need to take Jerry to school at Glendale, and then you can go on to the interview." And I said, oh, "Okay." So I took Jerry. I can't remember what grade he was in. To Glendale, dropped him off, and said, "Okay, Jerry, I'll see you later. I'm going to go." Little did I remember, Jerry had a little sister, Ashley, who was going to my mom's medical school. And so then I was like, what do I do with Ashley? And Ashley's like 5 years old.
oh,
So I was like, Ashley, you're going to have to come with me to the interview.
no way. I don't know. I didn't know this story. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
yeah. So I walked into the office and I said, can she stay here with them outside? Can you guys watch her? And I didn't say what she was or I didn't care. I said, okay, if you think she's my daughter, fine. If you think she's my little sister, fine, whatever. I just
Just
went
need you
and
to watch her.
yeah, can you just watch her? And I went in and interviewed with the doctor.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. Do you guys
Yeah.
do you know her today? Like, do you know where she is?
No, I don't know where she is.
'Cause that's
Um,
great that she
yeah, I
was
don't know.
part of that journey.
Oh yeah, she was right there.
Wow, that's hilarious.
And I thought I'd blown it. I said, Mom, how could you do this to me? I'm out there and I have Ashley with me, but it still worked out.
Yeah, yeah. Because like you said, when God told you I'm taking this fear away because this is where you're going.
Right.
Nothing's gonna deter that, you know,
Right. Right.
obstacle. So yeah, so why don't you get to the part where there was a time where you had walked away or weren't going to church or going, I mean, what did that look like and why?
Oh, yeah, that was all in college for sure. All while I was at Berkeley, not at Oakwood or anything.
Okay.
Um, I got up there and I hung around some people. We liked to go to the fraternity parties and we started drinking and I would he was Adventist as well. I'd pick him up and from church and then we would go and drink beer at the lake.
Wow.
And that was our Sabbath afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah, that was not very good. And so I really wasn't going to
Mm.
church very much, but around the same time as the like that last year and a half, like I said, everything was changing, and I said I need to go back to church. And so then um, I kind of stopped hanging around him because I was studying so much, and I would I went to church. I went to one of the churches up there in the Bay Area. I can't remember Market Street or Beacon Light, one of those, and they had communion. And I said, well, guess I'll take communion. And so I took communion and the foot washing and everything. And then I said, okay, I'll go to church the following week. I said, okay, I'll go to church this week, but I'm going to go to a different church. And I went to a different church and they were having communion. And I thought, well, I just had it last week. I said, well, my mom said you never walk away from it. So
Oh,
yeah,
Mhm.
I'll do it again.
Mhm.
And that happened 5 weeks in a row.
No
Five,
way.
five different churches and
Fine.
5 times I had communion.
Yeah, the Lord was talking to you because that's so funny because nowadays a lot of churches do it around the same time, but
That's what I thought. I said,
yeah,
I thought it was all the same time, the 13th Sabbath or something like that. I thought it was all the same time. Why are you guys changing it?
yeah,
And
because God
yeah, there
God
was
had a different plan. Yeah,
five different churches and five. And so that's when I knew that, I was getting ready he was getting me ready for what I needed to do.
yeah, yeah. So, and then how long have you been a physician now?
I'm a physician. I graduated medical school in yeah, not a long time ago. So I've been a physician for 30 years.
Okay. All right. And then you decided to be a surgeon. I mean, it's just funny how you went from not being able to even look at blood without getting woozy, and you were not a surgeon where it's like, I mean, I'm a nurse and I'm pretty good with blood except for C-sections. Like I always get woozy and always almost pass out because I used to work in the NICU. So we would have, if I was in charge, I had to go to all the C-sections at this smaller hospital. And it was just, so I don't know if I could do that, but you really got, the Lord really took you in a like full circle, like,
Oh yeah, I got immersed in it. In fact,
yeah.
now with this specialty, like if like if a GYN surgeon or a liver surgeon or somebody gets into bleeding, they'll call me.
Right.
And so
Right.
then I'll come in where there's blood everywhere
Yeah. Mhm.
and help them stop it and get control of it.
Oh,
So yeah, it's kind of completely almost double 360.
yeah. 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 So, and I'm sure you have, I mean, I wish we had time to go through. I'm sure you have great stories to tell, of,
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah.
but it's a great profession and I wouldn't change my path.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So what do you do for fun? Because I'm assuming your job can be very stressful, right? At times.
Yeah, I usually I loved to play basketball, but I couldn't play as much because I was starting to get my fingers injured. Like this one doesn't straighten,
Oh,
and
you
I was
need them.
like, yeah, and people would poke me in the eye, and it was hard to find people on the same schedule. So I took up cycling, and that's what I've been doing for
Yeah.
about 25 years. And I got really into it, not as much now, but yeah, that's my hobby. That's my sport, and yeah,
You-
it keeps keep me balanced.
Yeah. You go long distance?
I used to go up to on a Sunday 100 miles, but I don't
Oh.
do that anymore now that I'm a little older. That was probably like 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. I would
Oh,
do that kind of distance.
oh,
But
wow.
now I kind of stopped going that far. So the most I'd go now would be 50.
Wow. Okay. That's still a lot. I hope you know that. People are probably like, wow, okay, that's all. Okay, so what advice would you give anyone who is listening and at a crossroads, like professionally in their life? What advice would you give?
I would tell them, well, if they believe in God, I would say, hold to God and ask.
Mm,
Ask the Lord, you know, what it is that you may need. I read about the story of Gideon
mhm,
and how, you know, what he had to go through as God was preparing him, and how it really wasn't God could have just taken him and won this battle, but Gideon wasn't ready. He wasn't ready to lead the people. And so he kept saying, I don't know, God, I don't know about this. And God said, yeah, you got to trust me. And so he put him through all these tests, bringing the people down to such a small number in his army, and the fleeces that he would put out to say, okay, if it's this, then I believe you. If it's this. And so it was really all that was preparing Gideon. And he was preparing him to lead him, but he had to have Gideon build up his faith.
mm,
And so I think that was kind of like for me, he could have just taken me right into medical school, but I wouldn't have I wouldn't have built up the faith that I had in him to be able to follow. And so he had to prepare me. And so know that God is there for you. You may need some preparing,
yeah.
but he's there for you and he'll show you the way. And so you just have to hold on.
Amen. Well, that's great. That's great advice. Well, thank you. Thank you for doing this for me. I'm so excited. So, thank you. This was fun. We talk all the time, like this, but we never interviewed you. So, this was
Oh, no problem. And I'll be glad to do part two anytime.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure people will
Yeah.
be asking, but thank you. I know you're very busy, so thank you for taking time out to do this, okay?
All right.
All right,
Okay,
take
take
care.
care.